Welcome. I want to speak today about painful love. Love in desert seasons, sometimes through stresses and great storms. The kind of loneliness that many people can only realize comes from being totally lonely, waking up next to someone that you once loved, but feels like now a stranger. And so my encouragement to you is that I know how hard that can be. I know how hard those seasons can be. I'm celebrating, my husband and I are going to be celebrating 11 years here in a few months of marriage, but our marriage has not been easy. It has been difficult. We've gone through a lot together. Early on, we started off as entrepreneurs building 3 businesses from the ground up. And so we had no steady income source of any sort. And we got pregnant right out of the gate. And so starting with these businesses and a brand new baby, my husband had a major injury a few days after our honeymoon. He blew his Achilles tendon. And so he was out of commission for quite a few months and was not even able to really get working on his business out of the gate. And so we struggled with that. And then just as we, felt like we were getting on our feet a few years into our marriage, I think we were about 5 years into it, we ended up with a fire 3 days before Christmas where we basically lost everything. And found it was right. We were looking to buy a house, our first house together, and we were pregnant at that point. We were going to announce on Christmas Day to our family that we were 3 months pregnant, but instead we told them we had a fire. Then we told them we were pregnant. And so we were blessed by many people. We didn't have insurance. There had been some mix-ups with that, and so we dealt with a lot of shame around that, but we ended up being really blessed by some friends that did a GoFundMe, and we were overwhelmed by the love and support in our community and people that just invested in our lives to help us get back on our feet. And so with the provision that we were given and the little bit that we had remaining, we decided to buy land. We bought an RV, and we decided our short-term plan was to live in an RV and build a home on the land and live off-grid till we had done that. And then it took a whole lot more effort to rebuild those businesses than we had expected, way more energy and time that first year. And come winter, we were not ready we had nothing to live in except the RV. And so we decided to travel. So we went south and traveled with our RV, and that opened up a whole new world to us. And we kind of stepped back and decided, why are we in a hurry to build and kind of do what everyone else is doing? We want to live with financial freedom. So let's take a step back. Let's focus on saving money, paying off debt, and let's kind of reassess. And so we decided to put off building a home while we built our businesses. And so that, but we lived off grid in an RV for that. I mean, it was like, 4 years, I think it was 4.5 years. And that ended up being a little bit longer. Our plan took a little longer to materialize. Some of it had to do with COVID, a few other things. And I'll share about kind of the momentum that was gained. But, here we are living, a young family with 2 little kids in an RV, and space is cramped. There's a lot of stress that goes into that. And then we've, I have to say, since we'd been married, we moved at least 3 or 4 times in our community. And then we, a year and a half ago, we moved across country to buy a home. That took much longer than planned. It was, I think, 8 or 9 months later that we finally found a home, but that was after living with our in-laws for 3 months. They'd gotten really ill. And as much as, as wonderful as my in-laws are, it's hard on anyone living with family that you're not used to in a small house. And so I'm just sharing all this to say that, our marriage has not been easy. We've had our season of major financial stress. and just the storms of life, and manage it, just struggling to get through that. And yes, sometimes in difficult seasons, dealing with somebody that feels like a stranger and that you are at odds with. Love can be a very hard thing, period. And so my encouragement today is, if you are in one of those dry seasons, as long as you're not in an abusive relationship, then I encourage you to press on. I encourage you to hang in there. You know, we live in a culture that love is held up as this feeling, but I'm from I am rooted, everything I have studied about love is that love is a choice, love is a commitment, and in that decision that it's not based on feelings. My feelings can change day to day very much. I don't know about you, but I can have drastically different feelings for the same person in the same day. And so I don't want my feelings to rule my life. I've set my compass, I've set my I've set my course, and in choosing love and determining love and what I can do, I know I can't change someone. I do know that. And there are relationships where you might be in one that somebody doesn't want to change at all. And so my encouragement in that is not only, number one, hang in there, press through, even when it's as dark can be. My second encouragement is to focus on your growth as a person. Take responsibility for where you are, who you are in the relationship, and determined to grow, determined to change, determined to be the best that you can be in that relationship. And this metaphor has really helped me. I'm going to show you something that has really carried me through a lot of years, a visual. And this is often what I would think of in the struggle that I face. So if you can see this here, just a simple graph. And on this graph paper, I have this idea that this is you. So from 0 to 10 and beyond to 100. And under here, this is your partner, from 0 to 10 to 100 and beyond. And so when you are starting in your relationship, or wherever you find yourself in your season right now, you might really be struggling. And let's say you're a very self-actualized person, and maybe you're a level of maturity. We're going to give you big props that you're at a 4. So you on a scale of, we'll say 0 to 10 at this point, that you're self-actualized and you have this incredible capacity at 4. But your partner, everyone around you knows that they're pretty immature. They're very selfish, very self-oriented. They don't care much for other people. They don't have much of a vision or mission in life, and they're very focused on immediate gratification. I mean, go down the list of whatever. Let's say maybe they're a 2 on the scale of 1 to 10 as far as being self-actualized or even beginning to grow in their potential. So if you were to put this on a graph, this would be your marriage right now, or your relationship, which you're in. So you are at a 4, your partner's at a 2. Of course, we won't tell them, they won't watch this video. And your struggle is that this is your relationship. This defines it. This is the summation of it, if nothing changes. But if you decide to take matters into your hands and you decide that you are going to become the best that you can be, you're going to grow, you are going to change, that you're going to become better than you've ever been before, that you're going to improve your skills, your hobbies, you're going to pursue your passions, your love, you're going to build skills in conflict resolution, take the promotion through work, maybe work on another business. And, over the next few years, in pushing through, pressing on, despite the difficulty in your relationship or in your marriage and whatnot, you decide you begin to grow. And you improve to, say, an 8.5, and there's well beyond that you can grow to, but your partner has stayed maybe at a level 2 on this scale. What you'll see is that your relationship has completely changed. Now, you may have done a lot of that growth, but the square footage, so to speak, of your relationship has changed. It's multiplied and it's increased just because you have grown, and that relationship will have changed. And it is rare, very, very rare in my understanding and my study of relationships, that this person will not at some point be motivated in seeing that change and experiencing the depth and the newness of what that relationship looks like, to not begin that journey of change and growth as you've moved beyond it. Because we often don't grow and change because we're so focused on the other person growing or changing first. And the way it works, though, is the most mature person in the relationship is the one to take the first step. And that's hard. It's humbling. None of us wants to be that person. When my husband and I fight, it's whoever's the most mature in that moment is going to be the one that comes back and builds the bridge, forgiving the other person, saying I'm sorry. And it's also a running joke, when we do it, we sometimes lord it over each other as in our own fashion of who was the most mature. But your relationship can change. Whatever it is today, it can be different down the road. And I really encourage you to press through in those dark hours, in the desert seasons, and in those places to focus on growing, being all that you can be, and dealing with what you need to deal with so that you can be the best person, because that relationship will change and you will be surprised what kind of motivation and what little bit of a fire that provokes in your partner, in your in the one that you love, even though it's by choice in these seasons and not by that feeling, to also make a change. And so I thank you for your time. Please share and comment if you found value in this, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.